Season 1, because this is season 2 of State of the Culture, brought to you by Izesan Speak ASAN. Have you checked out our app yet? That is the African language learning app. Yeah, that whoop whoop was right, actually.
A little,
Whoop whoop.
yeah.
Honestly, I am Angiatin Justina. I am the host. Good to see you again on here. Like I said, this is Africa's thought leader. We are having discussions to talk about our beautiful African Nigerian culture, and then where there are issues, we're looking to fix those issues one discussion at a time.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully, definitely, please, definitely, because
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
True. So of course we have, a brand new-ish set, and then I also have, I'm really excited about this part. I also have new co-hosts, and to my left, there's Frederick Olise. I know what you see when you look at him. And no, don't think about, I know, right? I know.
Okay.
No, that wasn't intentional.
Which is great. This is brilliant.
Yeah, so I just used the favorite line from one of his, OGs. Is that what I can call him? That's your OG person, right? Yeah, he's already confessing.
Okay.
Yeah. And
You're letting yourself out already.
Really?
Yeah.
Without my help, right? And to my right, of course, I have Nafisat Abdurrahman.
Simple me.
Yeah, very simple and calm and a breeze. We like that because someone needs, there's a
so
bit
we
of,
can have
exactly, and there's this
cool
opposite
level.
Exactly, there's this opposite. You guys are sitting perfectly, with your character. Should I say your character or your personality?
And having you in the middle is doing justice to that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are thinking about.
You
me
should.
But I'm just saying, I would either prove you really right or wrong.
I vote right.
Right.
Yeah,
really,
you
really
vote
right.
Okay. So you watching can vote as well. Anyway, today we'll be talking about comparing the parenting styles in Africa. Comparing how both sexes are raised, and are both sexes being raised differently? That's the question. And the second question is, are there repercussions to raising both sexes differently? Right. So I think I can open up with actually discussing if both sexes are raised differently. And if anybody's going to, disagree, but this is what I have to say. Yes, both sexes are raised differently in Africa. If you're a boy, you're going to be raised differently. If you're a girl, you're going to be raised differently. And this is a common, let me say, it's not 100% of the time because I can't speak for every family, but a large percentage of the time, both sexes are raised differently, and there are also stereotypical parenting styles for each sex. Now, let me just say a little bit about some of the stereotypes. Now, when you're talking about how parenting is done in so many parts of the world, it's actually similar when you look at it. There's just little differences here and there. For instance, there's this, shall I use it as a measure for how parenting is done? One of them is emotional warmth versus hostility. How do you show emotions to your children? Are you, hostile, or are you warm with them? When it comes to both sexes, we see girls feeling that warmth more. They're more encouraged to be soft, submissive, expressive. Or for the boys, you want to hold them like the iron hand and be a little bit hostile when it comes to emotions. And then when you look at something else, which is autonomy, which is the amount of control you give a child over the amount of control you give,
and everything.
Yeah, over their decisions and everything. You see that most times the boys get more control regardless of their age than the girls. You see boys are, encouraged to move out early. In fact, they want to put a timeline on your head, like, okay, what are you still doing here by this time? Encouraged to move out early, encouraged to stay out later. Oh, let me just speak from personal experience anyway. Yeah, it was something common. My brother could go anywhere and come back anytime. I thought once it's 7 or I don't know, maybe 8-ish, I'm already getting zzz on my phone. I'm like, are you serious? And sometimes it doesn't really matter how old you are, it just happens. And I'm going to stop doing all the talking because that's why you guys are here as well. So let's talk a little bit about gender roles. How do you feel like gender role, comes into how both sexes are raised? Do you think it has something to do with it?
So the truth about it is very much so. I think you were even suggesting that while you were speaking, how it is possible that you are raised differently, and unfortunately so. And then we do also see the fact that gender roles are assigned to children.
Yeah.
So very much so. From obviously this basic example, you know how it is. If it's a lady when she's young, they're like, we're coming to the kitchen. Come. And then if you're a boy, you're like, don't worry, go. It's you're for other things. It may be okay. Go and do the heavy lifting. They've worked right, so I go and carry it.
Wash the car.
Exactly, those kind of things. And those are things that happen initially. And I think the major thing is it does have some effect, on, let's say, even the skills you have later.
Yeah.
So definitely gender roles exist. Like, it would be very silly very silly to think that this is not a thing, or it's not even a theme of our society, or of what we are very much present in. For me personally, it's one of the, I would say my upbringing was kind of like all inclusive, I would say, because
describe that a little bit.
Okay, so for example, the whole thing about specific things for girls and boys, we didn't necessarily have it that way, because we're all boys. And my mom, my mom was like, on her life, you lot are going to learn some things. All of you are going to learn. So from early, you already know how to kind of go, and housekeeping, just the basics. Like, this is just my personal experience. Like, things like housekeeping, my mom was super serious about it. If my room was in a mess, Jesus Christ, my mom would lose it. She would absolutely lose it, and all these sort of things, even in the kitchen as well. But we all, if we wanted to especially be part of it, my mom actually, okay, you can learn this, go and learn this, come into the game, learn this. So it was those kind of things. And even, I think another thing you highlighted as well, which was kind of like with emotions, and how, boys are supposed to be tough, and how, it's easy for you to kind of be softer, if you're a girl and everything. I think one thing that I would very much thank my parents for is allowing us to express ourselves and our emotions, and in the long run, that did create a good level of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that word, emotional intelligence, will actually come to that class.
Yeah, it does. So I think just to kind of just put everything in perspective, yes, gender roles very much a thing. We'll be very naive to not see it. 2, it does have long-term effects because people tend to develop certain skills. Exactly. For example, you see a lot of, this is just keeping it very face value before we even get deeper. Yeah. See some guys, they get older to whatever age and they can't do anything in the kitchen. They can't boil, you can't boil rice.
Basic human skills.
Exactly.
It's crazy. And you're like, why can't, this is a basic skill. This is, I know it sounds silly, but why can't they do that? Why can't you know how to do certain things, not just make Indomie,
or any kind of noodles at all. I say, oh no, but I can cook spaghetti. No,
spaghetti. But that's true. These things do exist, and even with gender roles, I think that's another really, really interesting thing, that it does in particular kind of affect even your psyche, and what like we said, emotional intelligence, it does heavily affect how emotionally intelligent you are. Just to round up, you can see that because girls are kind of made to be more
emotionally expressive,
they get to be more emotionally aware a lot faster. And generally, because of society, girls have to even grow up a lot faster, and that is really unfortunate because a lot of responsibility, especially on how you carry yourself, how you look, boys less so. So yeah, I think these things very much exist. They do it even to your level of development as a human being. These things already. Yeah,
true. So let's talk a little bit about the parents themselves, because it is a topic on parenting. Yeah. Why African parents, parents the way they do. And I'll take you back to my initial statement that globally, it isn't exactly totally different because we all have similarities. And then there's this there's this writer, he writes on, family and all that. He says that when it comes to, his name is Santrock. Yeah, on it, so anybody must look for it. According to Santrock, all parents actually learn parenting from their parents. And it's passed down. Now, when it's being passed down, some people discard some, good ones, and some people discard some bad ones. So some people might choose to keep both good and bad, while some might choose to keep the good and discard the bad. So basically, it depends on you as a person and what you choose to do. But the thing is, usually a parent learns from when they grew up, from where they grew up, from their environment. And this is honestly how African parents learn to parent. This is how everybody learns to parent, because the only kind of time you get to experience parenting is from your own direct parents, and a few other times from the community and things you hear. But when you look at why African parents raise them the way they do, I don't like to. There's this thing that happens sometimes where people try to demonize their entire style, which is off, because if you see it in a way, parents want the best for you. And when you think back to a time, let me use my parents for instance, let me say when they were born, maybe the baby boomers, or I can't really get all the
just trying
all the generations. Yeah, so let me just use baby boomers. Then a certain profession were the money makers. If your parent is pushing you to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to go into this profession, is because, this is what was making money in my time, so I'd like you to do that as well. So when you see a society where people that have respect are people that have money, that's for men, and people that are married, that's for women. Exactly. You'd want to groom your child to excel in that kind of society. And by that, you're teaching your boy how to make money, how to grow his career, while you're teaching your girl
to get ready for marriage.
Exactly. Be a good wife, be the perfect wife, be the perfect sister. So in a way, it's not like they're trying to do a bad thing. They're actually grooming you to excel in the society and how it sees people generally. So I just talked a little bit about that, but I'd like you, to tell us, because when it comes to the parenting style, let's see, is it religious? Is it based on, our culture, or is it, just personal decision when it comes to parenting? What do you think affects
in all sincerity, I'll tell you that it's a mixture of personality and culture. I wouldn't really say religion has much to do with it, because religion teaches us to treat people equally, even though it's not specific, but your boy child and your girl child are supposed to be treated equally. So I just allow religion to sit on one side and focus more on personality and culture. Culture most importantly. I mean, especially from the Igbo perspective. You see, the woman is being trained, tie your wrapper this way, you go to the farm, help your husband, stay at home, take care of your child. Not just the Igbo society, I'm just using them as an example. I mean, I'm giving a clear example of how girl child and boy child were raised differently in the 90s, to be specific. Emecheta, in her story, Second Class Citizen, she described the girl child as a second-class citizen. Yeah, because then most men didn't even want the girl child. Like when she was born, her father didn't want her. The man said he wanted a boy, sorry. He said it clearly that I don't want her, I want a boy. So despite the fact that she was the first child, that's priority wasn't given to her. That care, that concern, that affection, she lacked everything aside from this mother to daughter relationship and all that. But from every other person in the society, she was non-existent. So she said it that then if you like, go to school. If you like, don't go to school. And even when you try to raise the money, maybe from hawking, helping your mom in the market, and you still want to go to school, your father or anybody in the society may end up collecting that money from you just to train the boy child to school. And then at the age of 16, you'll be married off. Whether you love the man or not, who cares? You're a lady. You should be ripe enough for marriage.
That's your end game.
Exactly. Actually. And her bride price is not even hers. It's for the family. It may even be used to send the boy child to school, which is not right. And talking about second-class citizen, even after getting married, you're now your husband's property. And your husband's brother's property when he eventually dies. Like, everything in the society is first class before you. Even as a princess, you cannot be the heir to your father's throne. You have to get married to somebody who the society believes is capable of taking care of the community, whether you love him or not. So our culture has a large role to play when it comes to why our parents raising their children differently. Then, just like you said, when it comes to personality, you've learned from the society, you've learned from the parents, so you will still have some of those things. But then it now comes down to you as a person whether to sieve them or to use them like that. But sincerely speaking, religion has little or nothing to do with this from my own perspective.
Oh no, it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I agree with everything you said. And just going down to personality, I'm just going to highlight like what somebody said to me one time and totally changed my view on how I saw parenting in a way. They've never done this before. It's a very learn on the go experience.
Yeah.
I even want to believe that I don't know what it's like to bring another human being and be responsible for them and then cater but like cater for their personality and cater to everything, because dealing with human beings, like we all know, is very different, and there's a lot of man management, and that is so true. They've never done this before, so everything they're doing is basically on, like you said, experiences, perspective. 110% agree that she did not put one foot wrong. It was informative as well, and I was just thinking, and it just kind of shows you just how deep, like even assigning things with gender roles, how they have been assigned, and like I said, how just alters your development, like whatever it may be. And obviously there are going to be exceptions to every rule. So some people are going to listen and going to be like, yeah, but people broke out of this, and yeah, that's great, but like we're trying to make this the norm. Like we're trying to make things like gender roles, defining where you go, the opportunities you're open to, non-existent.
Funny enough, when you look at Africa's pre-colonial history, and I tried reading on that, there's this particular article, this project I saw, it's on women in pre-colonial Africa. It wasn't exactly as it was right now, how men were given this and women were given that. Then they operated in this bicameral kind of style of bicameral legislature, where the men had their meetings and the women had their meetings, and both of them put their heads together to make decisions. Because when you think of it, then most of the only professions that were there were, say, like in Nigeria, agriculture. And what happens is everybody goes to the farm. Everybody, the man, the woman, the children. So there's no distinction. So both of them are working together. I'm still using agriculture as an example, on the farm, and then when they're done, they go back home. So I think with the emergence with colonial times, where collar jobs, all the white collar jobs were, introduced, and then both people can leave the home at the same time and leave the kids. Then of course, if you're going to the farm, you can take everybody, lock up your house and go out, go work. But now someone needs to stay. Not everybody can be hired in your white collar job, of course. So then came the thing where, okay, the men are the ones that have to go out, and then the women have to stay, and somehow the whole structure just changed, and then we saw that. So let's talk a bit about the society as well. Society's encouragement or discouragement of this parenting style? How would you say society has encouraged?
To kind of start, we kind of need to go to certain pillars of society, things like religion, you know, things like education. These are certain pillars of society, and society as we have it now obviously still very much supports, you know, the assigning of like gender roles. And let's start with education. We all know this. When we were growing up, especially if you've done secondary school in Nigeria, which, you know, certain professions, they thought that, yeah, this was a very manly profession. You know, if you were, you know, a lady and they said, you like to talk back, you like to argue, they'd be like, I can't study law, it seems like you like to argue. And no, we laugh about it, but honestly, when you are a law student, you find out like actually a lot of your class is mostly female.
Yeah.
So it kind of like dictates that. For example, that's law, but when you get to engineering, it's a total switch up. You could see like barely any women like in some engineering faculty. So it's not like there aren't any, but it's just, you know, so this is how like society has kind of like ingrained like all these things that have to do with kind of like, you know, let's say, what do you want to say, if you're argumentative or something like that, they'll be like, yeah, go and study law, you know, this is what a woman would do,
oh yeah, because we like to talk.
Yeah, they would be like, oh, you like to do that, so go do that. Oh, you're a guy,
From, you know, what I've read and seen as well, one of the misconceptions about the profession law, the law profession, is not everybody has to go to court and start going
Exactly.
Not everybody has to go to court.
Nothing
and
gets
it's nothing
to court.
even about arguing as well. It's just about understanding the facts, submitting the facts, understanding evidence, making people see evidence, and then, you know, drawing a conclusion and convincing somebody to see that conclusion.
And unfortunately, not everybody understands this.
It's very different. And we see that also religion kind of like, you know, it's a big part of, you know, our society, at least to a certain extent. And then in religion, you hear a lot of, you know, messages. Okay, the woman is, I don't even know where this came in. The woman is the neck of the family. It's like, okay,
do you know,
cool.
that's what I was asking actually, because she said that, you know, religion has little or no role to play in some of these parenting styles.
She said little. She didn't say it's non-existent.
But
it was little, and that it's true, because like obviously, you know, it's like, oh, a woman is the neck of the family, and then you're the head of the family. So you know, you have to build yourself in this manner, and that's what we've done. Those are certain pillars of society, and that influences how, whether you like it or not, quite a few people raise their kids. So society does very much support this assigning of gender roles. Like, and yes, we can say that a level of exposure has come in, which is brilliant, right? Like you see a lot. One of the greatest things I would say now is how I love how women are in tech, dominating tech. This you would never have thought about maybe a generation ago, women in that field. And yes, we're getting exposure, but this needs to cut across everything, not just in one space. And that's just what it is. But yes, very much so. Society and its pillars, it does support, like, you know, assigning gender roles. Yes, because of exposure and because people are becoming a lot more educated and we're beginning to understand things a lot better. We're seeing more things than our parents did. There's a lot more information to go on. You know, we're taking also our, you know, mental, you know, like makeup a lot. You know, it's becoming a bigger factor. And so then you can then raise people a lot better because you're managing and catering to them. So yes, exposure, but it's such, let's not overplay where this exposure has come in.
Yeah, and you're talking about exposure. Now there's this shift, or is there a shift? Let's just talk about that.
Yes.
Because is there a shift, and what is the effect or influence it has had on this present generation? Shall I say Gen Z or millennials? Gen Z, right? Okay, fine.
Let's go with Gen Z.
Yeah, let's go with Gen Z.
Okay, so let me start from your first question. Is there a shift? Yes, there is an obvious shift on how parents used to train children differently when it comes to gender. I mean, now you can see the male, just like Frederick said, the way he now knows how to cook, take care of his home, be emotionally expressive. And still from Frederick, he talked about having ladies in tech. So that's an obvious shift in how parenting style has changed over the years, not just because of exposure in terms of education, and now we have, the world is a global village, so we have access to what people are doing outside the country, and we're beginning to understand that, okay, we shouldn't tell this man that he's not supposed to cry or he's not supposed to be emotionally expressive because it's damaging to his mental health or psychology as a whole. Or no, I shouldn't just train my child to know how to cook and not be independent and supportive. Taking myself, for example, the way my parents raised us, we're 6 in numbers, 2 girls, 4 boys. So you see my dad asking myself and my younger sister, go and wash my car. To be fair, to be very sincere, it was very, very annoying when he started this thing. I mean, we're living in the north, for crying out loud, and then you see your neighbors coming out and laughing at you that they are washing their father's car. So it's embarrassing, it's annoying, but time went on, we started enjoying it. And as a matter of fact, I miss that part of my childhood right now. Yes.
I never and then that. Anyway, but continue.
And then you have my mom telling my siblings, oh, go and heat water, oh, wash the rice. Is this how to wash rice? Is this how to do this? Okay, go get me groceries and all those things. So like my dad then, instead of taking the boys most often to his mechanic, he takes myself or my sister. And it's to some point my brother was like, I mean, you're supposed to take us. And he was like, why? If anybody should learn, they should learn first, because they may leave the house before you. So he tells us, okay, this is what we call this part of the car, this is what we call this part of the car. And whenever anything happens, you know, he's not this type of man that'll be like, stop crying. He won't pet you. Whether you're a boy or a girl, he allows you to cry. And when you're done, he'll call you, okay, I understand you had to cry and all those things and all those things. It's okay, it's normal, it's fine, everything is going to be okay. Until this point, everybody in the house, irrespective of your gender, we are emotionally expressive. So imagine myself knowing how to do little mechanical and electrical repairs in the house, and my brother being able to take care of our siblings when there is no girl in the picture at home. So this is an obvious shift, and I'm pretty sure, because Frederick just said it, that somehow they were raised that way. So this is an obvious shift in how our parenting style is. I would use the word developing, because what they were doing before wasn't fair at all. So it's a sign of underdevelopment.
Let me sit in for. I wish we had an older generation.
Oh wow, you want to sit in?
Let's talk about the
so we are back.
One of the things, like you were saying, is equal opportunity. I'm not even talking about equality, because that's a different discussion
entirely.
You know, whenever it comes up, you know, flares will start going around like, ee, feminists, okay, they're here, but that's a different discussion. That's not what we're having. What we're discussing now is giving each child, each sex, an equal opportunity. Let them have equal opportunities to learning everything. Don't let anybody be shortchanged. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. When it comes to the men, they need the survival skills of feeding themselves, of cooking, of knowing how to do stuff without necessarily, you know, looking to rely on somebody to do some. Of course, like everybody feels like there's sometimes when another person cooks, it tastes good, and nobody likes the stress of going to the kitchen except people who love to cook, because it's a thing. People actually love to cook. But each person deserves, you know, equal opportunity to learn these life skills. And then for the girls as well, they also need to, you know, be open to opportunities of building their careers and doing other things. There's this joke I saw on Twitter one time that it happens, like people throw this around as jokes, but it is, they're like, oh, you can service gen, or you can turn any girl that can turn on gen, I'm scared of you, or something like that. But it's regular thing. Like, if you don't have light, imagine you staying on your own, and you don't, not imagine, it happens. You're staying on your own, you need to turn on your gen. What do? You go and call.
You start calling your neighbor.
Okay, what if it's a really late time and you don't have any male neighbors around?
Exactly.
What would you do? So everybody needs opportunities like this. One more thing, that's a big issue, is communication. I don't know how many people are able to sit, if you are, that's good. You're able to sit with your parents and have a discussion with them, and it doesn't end in a fight, an advice, or maybe it's a joke, and it doesn't end in like, oh, life advice or something like that.
Like, oh, so you're here now, you think you can tell me what to do
query now. Yes. And we have this big respect culture in Nigeria, like, don't talk back to me. Like, every form of conversation, some form of conversation might be seen as you talking back, but there needs to be room for some kind of encouragement to speak sometimes, and speak respectfully, because there's a difference between speaking disrespectfully and speaking respectfully. So a person can speak respectfully to their parents and have a conversation with them. Not a lot of people can sit down with their dad and just go, how will I even put it? I can't even picture the scenario sometimes, and that's how weird it is. I don't know, was it different for you? You can actually sit and have like conversations over a beer or something.
Hi, Dad. If you see this, my guy. My relationship with my parents is we can be very playful. If you ever had a phone conversation with me and my mom, we're like, baby, how are you? And then, oh, my love, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. You're breaking my... And that's like me and my mom, and that's, the relationship we have. I'm super grateful for that. Like with my father as well, I can very much talk to my dad almost about anything. Not everything. I love you still, Dad, but not everything. But he did create, and I think this was something you were learning too, is you need to create an environment where you can effectively communicate, and not just you talk to your kids, but you need to let them talk to you. And I think the one thing I would say is, with parenting, let your children know how human you are. Let them see you for the human being that you are.
That's difficult.
Not for the title that you hold. It's a different thing. You are not going to stop being the father. You're not going to stop being their mom. But they want to know you on a human level, because if they feel like there's no humanity they can draw from you, they're not going to come to you with their humanity. And I think that for me would be one of the scariest things, if my children couldn't come to me
to talk to you
in their vulnerability. If they can't do that, that says a lot on the environment I have created. And I'm not saying that this is particularly easy, because it's a different dynamic sometimes with parents, because they're your parents. Sometimes you don't want to take issues to them, and that is completely fine. But if the environment is there for you to talk to them, it makes things a lot easier. So and I can't use other people as examples, because that wouldn't be fair. I can only use me, for example. I've been able to pick up the phone, be on the phone with my mom. I've been times where I've cried, and I've told my mom like the darkest thing I was going through at the moment. And I'm super grateful that I can do that, and that's because my mom has allowed me also to see her vulnerability. And growing up, I could relate with that, and then you then understand that there's this environment for you to come as you are. It's so very important. So I think moving forward for most people, and I noticed this just in general, you need to create that environment for your kids to be able to come to you with their vulnerability. And it's also super interesting because we did mention emotional intelligence. And then, yes, not everybody is emotionally intelligent. That's why environments that are not conducive for these things exist. But if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I think that's one of the most important things. Your children need to be able to believe in who you are as a human being. I think last example, so my dad and I used to go out loggerheads on certain issues, certain topics, and then I just used to fume because I just like, he doesn't get it. He cannot get it. It's because he's older. And then one day, me and my dad, we were just sitting down and we were having a conversation. And we're like, look, you know what? Some of the things that I am today, some of the things I try, especially with you, is because of my experiences. This is what happened. This is how I grew up. And it was brilliant because that day he was like, look, I'm not perfect. I don't always see it maybe the way you see it. Like life, the way you've grown up is different from the way I did. And, you know, that sort of conversation kind of changed the relationship I had with my dad. It became much deeper. We could discuss so many other things, you know, after that point, because he then showed me his vulnerability. So
yeah, talking about vulnerability, I just remember this night, because that's something I do, it's a new hobby. I was on a space on Twitter, and they were talking about, you know, vulnerability with men, and then a couple of people were mentioning crying. Now, when it comes to vulnerability, we're not just talking about crying. In fact, that's just one of the forms of expressing, you know, or being vulnerable. We're talking about being able to express your emotions, being open, because I see this thing with some guys where when they're going through something, they'd rather retract and just maybe not let you know or not tell you what's going through their mind. I feel like it's something that happens a couple of times. Maybe if you're in a relationship, you're not going to tell, I don't know, depending on who you're with, or maybe if it's a husband, you prefer to, like, you know, hold it in or like talk about it with your guys and all that. So I feel vulnerability is not just about, you know,
it's not just
waterworks. No, it's about being able to express your emotions intelligently. That's another thing, giving both, because when you allow just a girl to express herself, you know, and you teach her emotional intelligence, or, you know, she knows how to express her emotions and all that, you're shortchanging, you know, the male child as well, because he can't express, all he knows how to do is, you know, hold and hide or retract
and
to a corner
and be the strong man.
Exactly, nothing there, no shaking, like I'm a hard guy, that's it. They're not learning the emotional intelligence that they're supposed to learn, because they don't even express it, for one. So how can they manage it? So talking about the influence as well, I think that was something I asked you, and you know, I caught you off. I'm sorry about that, but like, let's go on to the influence that this parenting style is having on this generation.
Well, it has a lot of influence, a lot of influence. I mean, in as much as it's pretty obvious that we are trying to have the shift and have a good parental style, a good parent-child relationship with our children, try to create a balance in how we train the girl child and the boy child. The damages this parenting system has done to the society is still very visible. I mean, we have a lot of bitter persons out there who, maybe because of one thing they were refused to do as a girl child, or as a boy child, there was nobody there to like feel their pain and make them feel better when they are sad or when they are going through some stages in life. This has made a lot of people bitter, and then they put on some form of defensive mechanism, and, you know, they become angry unnecessarily. Like, a woman can come and tell the man, why did they, no, you don't have any right to tell me that. I am the man of this house, I should do this, I'm in charge. And another child is growing up seeing his or her father treating the mother that way.
So that's learning.
And then we have other ladies who are also raised not to only know how to cook, how to be the mother, how to do this, how to break down at every little thing, just because they were taught to be emotionally expressive. So these ladies just wake up in the morning, take care of the children, take them to school, do this, do that, no work, no independence, no sum of support for their husbands. Or do we talk about the ladies that wake up every morning and be like, God, I wish I were a boy. we say it sometimes. Some people say it and their friends feel like they're just saying it. There are a lot of emotions behind that statement. A lot of emotions. And some of these men that we raised to believe that men don't cry. Imagine, you know, my dad used to say, crying is a form of healing. Not just the crying now. Talking is also a form of healing. Expressing yourself in general is a form of healing. So imagine what a man who doesn't know how to emotionally express himself is going through. So much to give a man depression. So much to kill a man from the inside, and that's worse from the physical death that we know. So we have a lot of this happening in the society, even though we're trying to correct all this motion. Okay, the girl child should go to school, the girl child has a right to learn engineering and all that. We still have some of these things visible in the society.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about something that you used to. Should I say used to? Okay, that's what I want to ask you. There's this common saying, this common phrase, and it has been attributed to Africa. It takes a village to raise a child. Now, this is as old as, I don't have the exact dates, but like I said, it's an African proverb.
Yeah.
Now, do you think in our modern day, just like we're talking about the influence now, in this modern time, do you feel like that statement still applies today?
It's a no for me. No.
Why?
Why not? I mean, your neighbor can't spank your child. Why did you do this? Your neighbor can't even be like, leave there. Or, I saw your child doing this. And before you know, somebody is out there putting it on Instagram. Imagine my neighbor telling me that my child did this or did that. I mean, our schools now, you can't, there is a limit to how a teacher can talk to a student. And it should start from there. I mean, after the home, the school is the next learning center. So if you're telling your school, the school your child is attending, not to flog your child or not to scold your child, what do you expect? We don't have those things anymore. Now it's just Frederick to his son, Nifisa to his daughter, to her daughter, Tina, like that. It's not existing anymore. We don't allow people to, I don't know how to put it, but we don't have a society that is opened the way it used to be when it comes to raising your children.
Thank you. You know why I'm thanking you? Remember the time when I was trying to, support the older generation?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you just did that for me. Thank you.
Did I? No. No, I did not, please.
Do you believe the phrase still applies today? It takes a village to raise a child.
No, it doesn't apply today. And quite frankly, they weren't doing a great job before.
I know, because I've waited. But continue.
No, all I'm saying is this. But just, it doesn't exist. I think we've become more individualistic. Yeah, which is just naturally because of the way society has gone. I don't think that's kind of like a problem. I think it's just everybody just has your life to live. If you get caught up in just trying to live life, pay bills, it can get very individualistic.
Okay.
And this is really why that kind of translates to people just doing their own thing with raising children. Personally, for me, if you hit my kid, I would lose it.
I said it. I mean, Frederick, what happened to be your brother's keeper?
That is brilliant. Tell me about it. Don't hear me. It's fantastic. I like the fact.
What if you're not around?
No, that's good. I will deal with it. You do not touch my kid because I wouldn't touch yours. It's a very simple concept. It's a thing of,
even if I'm your kid's teacher.
If you're my kid's teacher, your duty is limited.
Okay.
I am the parent of that child. You may not like how I parent. That's good. Keep it to yourself. We would sort it out. Now, all I'm saying is this. It's about understanding boundaries. I feel like the concept of the village raising the kid does not respect boundaries. I don't mind the fact that you see my kid doing something wrong and then you're going, yo, Frederick, man, I saw your kid and I'm concerned. Like, and then, you know what? A message well delivered is a message well received.
Okay.
Don't get it twisted. If you say it to me and I can feel the sincerity from you, I will take that. I'll be like, yo, he may have a point. And she may have a point. Like, hey, this kid is moving mad. You know, it's moving a bit booky. Like, okay, so why are you so badly behaved? What is going on? Why do you a menace? And then we have to have that conversation, and then we then have to go from there. But don't see my kid doing something, just smack him. Like, don't do that. Why? Who asked you? Like,
okay.
I don't get it.
But I understand where you're coming from, Frederick. Yeah, I'm gonna come for him for that. I understand where you're coming from, yeah. But don't you think that there are certain things that needs how do I put it now? Like, as it's happening, you're cautioning the child. Okay, now you're saying that there is a limit, yeah? I know there is a limit. And even during the whole proverb thing, it takes a village to raise a child, there were limits. There were boundaries. You don't just go all up and hitting a child and everything. There are limits to those things. It's just that the way it is now, we don't have this openness to our neighbors or to the society at large to even want to be like, oh, this child is doing this thing. Have you talked to him? Have you noticed it? It no longer happens. Like, everybody wants to be like, it's not my business. No, it's not my child. If it's my child, I know what to do.
That is true. I agree with the fact that, you know what, looking out is something important. And you're right. We are in a more sensitive time, you know, and little things seem to upset, you know, people and everything. But I always say, and I'll keep it 100, intentions and having good, honest intentions would always permeate everything. Like, again, if you have good, honest intentions for me and my kid, you are going to bring it up to me. You are going to tell me. Like, and sometimes it's also a thing where it's not just telling me. You've actually spoken to my kid first. Yeah. Look, I'm telling you this. Now I'm telling you as the parent, clear the doubt on all fronts. Clear my doubts, clear his doubts, or clear her doubts. Clear it all. But don't go beyond the boundary. Like, you're a teacher. Your primary job is to educate. My job is to parent. Now, if my kid is stepping out of line, within that ability to educate or that duty to educate, you can exercise some powers. That is good.
I'm kind of interested. I'm interested when you say exercise your power. How?
Exercise some powers.
Okay, so are you totally against corporal punishment? Because I know she can go at you like,
no, I want to know how.
Answer.
How?
Yeah.
Okay, for example, don't forget, education is not just school. Education is also who you are as a human being.
Exactly.
So if they have some, you know, certain traits and then you see it, it's well in your right to be like, okay, you can't be rude. You're going to serve punishment.
Okay.
And then that is fair enough.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
Are you saying a total no to corporal punishment, or you're like, maybe small, but
balance? I'm saying that there can be.
Okay.
There's room for it, but know your boundaries.
Yeah, there's a boundary for all of this.
That's all I'm saying. I think for me personally, I've seen too many situations where people overstep boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a thing with society. People overstep boundaries. Like, like I said, I think coming from a place where, you know, the boundaries are set, you know, this is the limit to what you're doing and everything. But unfortunately, that's not how it is. We see a lot of people take things out of their own hands, like take matters into their own hands, and then go beyond, you know, where they should. And I think that's just where I'm coming from. Don't overstep the boundary. Like, if it's within boundaries, of course, I would understand. It may not mean I would always like it, but I can understand.
Yeah, so that's Frederick talking to his child's future teacher.
Yeah.
No fear, I beg.
I will clear your doubts. No reason I will clear your doubts.
Of course, we're talking about corporal punishment, and I believe I speak for you as well. We're not talking about brutality.
No, we're not.
Don't go beating really small children, babies.
No.
What are you thinking? They don't even have.
They don't even know what they are doing.
So that's what we're talking about. If your thinking about beating some baby or some really, little child. That's out of it. Brutality, out of it. Don't draw blood. Don't give them any. They're not prisoners. They're just kids.
This thing of punishing students just because you hate them, that's not what we're talking about.
That's different. That's malicious.
Whatever you're doing should be justified.
Yeah. So now, talking about parenting style, because this one has revealed his. You've revealed yours.
Yeah.
And did I reveal mine? Yeah.
No.
I need to be with you as well. So when it comes to parenting styles, now there are 4 main globally. There's the authoritarian, and I'm just going to use statements to,
explain.
Yeah. So authoritarian is do this because I say so. I don't care if you understand why or not. Authoritative is do this, but this is why you should do this. Permissive is I'm your friend, so can you do this? That's the parenting style. While uninvolved is whether I do it or whether I do it or whether I don't do it or I don't care. So these are the 4 parenting styles. I hope you got that. I hope everybody got that. So which one would you adopt for your as your parenting style?
I think you kind of know. I'm a bit Mr.
Can you do this?
No, do this. I think that's authoritative, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do this because, and then also, can you do this? Because it's a mixture of the two. Because I have to respect your free will. I may not like it, but I have to respect it. You, as my kid, you cannot be me. You are a version of yourself, and you should stay true to that. But it is my job to guide, especially how you see the world. And it's my job to guide how your personality grows. That is one of the greatest things, apart from the fact that I need to provide for you and make sure you lack nothing, but it's also my job to make sure that you turn out to be a good human being. So it's not just do this because I say so. I can't do that. If I say do it, you must see me do it. I need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
So you're mixing permissive and authoritative. Okay.
Yeah, I say Frederick being a very good father.
I'm blushing now. Thank you. My Piki will enjoy it.
Anyway, let's get there first.
They don't want to know. We're here for it. It's fine.
Okay, so there's something about styles of doing anything. You can stick to just one or to just 2 in most cases, because it depends on the situation. There are certain situations, just like Frederick said, where you need to explain this is why you should do this. But some children are very stubborn. After using the authoritative, this is why you should do this, and I know it's good for you and me and the society. Person will come insult me tomorrow because of your attitude. Exactly. Your mother did not train you well. So
I'm sorry, I cannot kill my friends. I cannot get out of my head after you saying that.
So once I've used that system, some children, humans in general, we can be unnecessarily stubborn. They still don't want to. It's time to use authoritarian. You must do it. You have to do it. Imagine your child telling you she's not going to take her bath. You have to do it. After telling you that, okay, you're not going to smell nice, you're going to be dirty, and the child is no, I don't know how we drag you inside the bathroom. You have to. Now, permissive are simple things like, Mom, I want to eat this. Yes, you can eat it. I don't need to give you a reason for doing that. Or I don't need to give you a reason for, okay, somebody, you met an older person in the house and you did not greet her, or you did not greet him. So there are also times you need to be uninvolved, especially when we are getting to the teenage, adolescent stage. There are certain things you just stay back. Allow them to do it. If the paper enter their eye, they will get sense. Yeah, there's this adage. There's this adage that if you allow a child to touch something hot, that must be after warning. Don't go there. If it burns him, he's never going to go there again.
Yeah, of course, now.
It's a person that fire has burnt, that's always scared of ash or smoke. So it has to be a mixture for your child to be friendly, for your child not to be scared of you, for your child to understand that daddy or mommy is saying this thing. I have to do it. I have to listen. So you can't just, personally, I don't think sticking to just one will make you achieve your aim of being a good parent. My point of view, though.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Manisha is doing this because that's it. Anyways, so this is the last one. We've been talking about, we've basically been comparing how, there are stereotypes for raising both sexes. Now, do you think, is it possible to raise a girl and a boy the same way?
No. There's a limit to how you can raise a boy and a girl. Let's assume we're all boys here. You can't raise us the same way, because my demands will be different from your demands. So will it be different from Frederick's demands. That's just human nature for you. So you need to follow them as they come.
Frederick?
No, 110%. I think it was very naive. I know you said so many things, but we need to also be realistic and knowing that raising a girl is going to be different. But sometimes, let's not overcomplicate. Sometimes it's even due to nature. It's going to be different. I mean, that's it. But it's slightly different because you need to be able to navigate the society you're in. And because society demands different things, you need to also tell them exactly. I think one thing you can do is raise them on the same principles. Let them see uniformity in your principles, but each child will be managed differently. So you can't necessarily raise a girl and a boy differently. And she's right. Even if we're 3 boys, you can't raise us the same. Because I look at my parents, the way they raised us, I was raised not differently, but there's a different approach to me. There's a different approach to my younger brothers.
So I do get what you're saying now, and I do get what you're saying at all. But what I'm saying too is, yes, actually it's possible. I can hit this mug like the same way, but then if I want to evoke, like if I want it to be effective, that means I have to make sure I tend to you differently, I parent you differently, and I parent you differently. I don't know if you get it. I can choose to use the same parenting style for everybody, but it wouldn't be as effective. So yes, it can be done, but would it be effective? No, not for exactly. So I want us to, because we can actually talk about this until the next day. It is a long conversation, and it has been an interesting one. And do it again. Thank you so much. My name is Angiatu Justina. I have Frederick Olise with me here, and
our social prefect.
Yeah, you just got the title.
Now we do that. I need a tag. One episode, we'll put the tag.
Our guidance and counseling here. This is the set. No, that's like you're our soft spot. You're our soft touch. This is Nafisat Abdurrahman. Thank you so much. This is State of the Culture, brought to you by Izasan. Speak Isan. Have you checked out our app yet? If you haven't, you should. It is an African language learning app. You want to learn any African language, go on there. It's very interactive. It has a lot. You want to learn your lyrics, how to interact, and many more. I can choose this horn the whole time, but the show needs to come to an end. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.